Now we're going to explore more about the carburetor, two-stroke carburetor. And I got a very good question from a gentleman from Pakistan. And he asked me actually a couple of great questions. And I want to explain it in layman's terms if I can. This here is a 28 millimeter. This is a 30 millimeter that I tried. And this is another 28. Usually I only use 28s. And he asked me, well, what's the difference between, how do we measure a 28 or a 30 millimeter carb? How is it measured? I'll show you here. Now, these are Okos right here. Like I said, this is 30, this is 28. If you'll notice something, this top part is basically the same body. Okay, but look at the difference between this outer casing right here, if you can see it, of the 30 millimeter, and then we go over to the 28 millimeter. All right, these are the inlet sides. The other side of the carb deals with the air cleaner or the air horn. We're not talking about this side. We're talking about this other side. So what we do is we get a little gauge here, and if you go from the top of the inlet right in the middle all the way down to the middle, you'll see it says, it's hard for me to put this on here. Anyway, it says 3 centimeters or 30 millimeters. Now if you do the same thing to the 28, you'll see that it's a little bit smaller. It's 28 millimeter. That is the orifice diameter. So the 30 millimeter will give you more airflow than the 28. But that doesn't mean that it's the best carburetor. Okay, we have to look at the whole circuit of how a carburetor works. Now the carburetor is either 28 or 30. We'll just say that. Okay, that 28 or 30 has to go through an intake, which is right here. It goes down through that intake. It goes into the reed valve basket right here, and it goes through the reed valve. The reed valve fits right here, and your carb intake fits just like that. Now he also asked me another really good question, and I'm going to try and explain it. He said, well, how big a carburetor should I use on my bike if the bike is, say, 100 cc's, 125, or smaller? Now, the rule of thought in some dishonest carburetor makers, they'll tell you, look, sure, go ahead and put this 30 millimeter carburetor on your 14 millimeter Honda 50. Think about the airflow. You're going to get more fuel, more air, more power. Well, no you won't. Because let's pretend this is another golden rule about carburetors. Let's pretend if you see, this is a garage door right here. Okay? This is where I'm standing in a giant carburetor. This is 20 feet across, whatever. I don't know how many meters, 6. I don't know. And this is my air intake right here. Okay, I'm standing right in the middle of the carburetor, and where it goes into the engine is that door right there. Now you can see that door is a lot smaller than this door. So how much airflow do we have? This is a theoretical, this is just putting it in layman's terms. Let me explain to you. You see how big that door is? That door could be 200 feet across. Our airflow is only as big as that door, that small door. Because it doesn't matter how much air you have coming in. If you have a closed outlet right there, then that is your airflow. Then that brings us to the next problem. If you'll notice, this is the standard intake right in here. These two little ports. You see how small they are? Now if you were to take, I have a 120cc engine with these. If you were to take a standard 125cc motocross reed valve, it's 2.5 times bigger than this. It's huge. But I can't make these any bigger. But the point is the same. I can put on a carburetor. See that opening right there? That's probably, I don't know, say it's 100 millimeters. I could put that carburetor on the very back of this bike, and this is for an exaggeration. I'll have 100 millimeters right here, and I'll have 25 millimeters right here. How much airflow do I have? Do I have 100 millimeters, or do I have 25 millimeters? Just like I explained about the small door and the large door. Doesn't matter how big your intake is, my airflow is only 25 millimeters because of this small area right here. All right, part 2.